It's Wonder Woman 1984, the sequel to Wonder Woman, coming out in the year 2020. Is this movie any good? Let me tell you what it's really about, coming up next. So Wonder Woman was a hit movie several years ago. This movie, Wonder Woman 1984, debuts on streaming at the same time it debuts in theaters. Maybe a groundbreaking movie in that sense because it's a huge blockbuster, costs a lot of money. The studio, Warner Brothers here, decided to show it on HBOMax at the same time it's debuting in theaters, partly because of the coronavirus pandemic. But will we see movies released on streaming first? Will we see movies solely released on streaming in the future? Probably, so that's where we're going with this release. Now, this movie really deserves to be seen on the big screen. Huge sweeping visuals, lots of bright colors, huge camera movements, and Hans Zimmer's score. So if you can do that, see it on the biggest screen possible. Movie stars Gal Gadot, of course, as Wonder Woman. Here she's working as a cultural anthropologist or something rather at the Smithsonian Institution in Washington, D.C. She's the ageless Amazonian. So, of course, in 1984, nothing's changed since the previous movie, which took place during World War I. I guess the plot unfolds. Let me say this as plain as I can, even though this will sound ridiculous. There's a magic stone, which the FBI has found, delivered to the Smithsonian, and now Gal Gadot, as Diana, here undercover, she doesn't show herself as Wonder Woman, is working on the stone or finds the stone, and it ends up in the hands of her colleague who just begins work at the Smithsonian, Barbara Minerva, played by Kristen Wiig. Diana thinks this stone is nothing, but it turns out this is the magic stone that ends civilizations. It's supposedly ended the Egyptian and Roman civilizations and who knows what. So, will it end the United States of America, its gigantic empire? That's one of the considerations of this movie. And when people get a hold of the stone, they make wishes, and their wishes come true. It's sort of like a genie, or it's sort of like a magic lamp without a genie. All the major characters end up making wishes, of course, and Barbara Minerva, the nerdy science woman, wants to become like Diana, the sexy, strong, and cool character. So here you've got a nerdy chick becoming the hot chick, just like, you know, the typical trope in all kinds of high school movies, for example. Diana, what does she wish for? She wishes for a hot, smart guy, which is the Chris Pine character who had a fatal end in the previous movie, the Wonder Woman, the original Wonder Woman. Well, yeah, so he makes a reappearance in this movie and is here as her sidekick and her beau throughout quite a bit of the movie. How does this happen? Magic, the magic stone. And then we have one more character, a very shady TV personality, businessman, who wishes to become the stone itself. That's not giving much away. That happens about 40 minutes into the movie. If you become the wishing stone yourself, you can grant wishes to anybody, can't you? Well, this character is, of course, the bad guy in the movie, one of the bad guys, and he is a lot like, well, he has flavors of Donald Trump, but come on, there's a lot of similarities between this character and Donald Trump. The hair, the gaudy suits. He talks about the power of positive thinking. He's bankrupt, but on the surface, he looks rich. There's many, many other elements that are just like Donald Trump. And of course, this movie was going to debut in the summer of 2020 before the U.S. election. Now it's coming out in December, so it feels a little bit like a retrospective. But yes, Wonder Woman is a woman who hates guns. She actually says that out loud, versus this sort of Trumpish-like character. There's a few political messages in this movie if you want to look for them. Now, surprisingly, Diana in this movie is pretty powerless and weak, and that may be a strong criticism of the movie. It actually plays to the fact that, one, she's strong, sexy, and cool. People want to be like her or be with her. But she's alone, she's cooped up, and I suppose for 70 years she's been longing for the Chris Pine character, who, as I said, it comes back, but really is just a wish on her part. And so she goes around the movie, this is Washington, D.C., 1984, oogling over shoes, over high heels, while Chris Pine, that character, oogles over planes. It's sort of a strange movie in that it's consumeristic, while telling you overall to renounce your wishes and your deepest, strongest desires, that you shouldn't get whatever you want, but you should oogle over the stuff you should want. Very strange messages in this movie overall. And one of the main aspects of this movie is, as Wonder Woman goes through it, is will she give up the strong desire to have her hot, smart man, the Chris Pine character, back in her life? She can't give him up. It's been 70 years, and she still can't get over him. And if you want to reduce this movie down to one thing, it really is about, or you could say this, it's about a woman trying to get over the man she lost or the man she can't have. Along with looking good in high heels and all the outfits that Gal Gadot wears in this. So again, it's a bit consumeristic. And this movie really is about your innermost desires. That's actually one thing I like about it. It focuses on, with this bad guy character, the villain, he can grant any wish he wants, but then he gets wishes from the person who asks for wishes. And so he accumulates a lot of power, wealth, and control. And since I said he's like a Trumpish character, do you think he's going to become sort of the president of the United States in this movie? I'll let you see that, but maybe. And so his ultimate desire is power, success, money. He's going to grant anybody any wish they want. And Diana, she gets the wish she wants, which is to have the man back in her life. But guess what? That's a lie. That's a fraud. And the movie is pretty moralistic about that. Don't believe in lies. Believe in the truth. And of course, the Wonder Woman character is about this lasso or rope of truth that makes, when she wraps it around people, they tell the truth. She needs to be honest with herself, give up her old boyfriend, and move on with her life. Can she do that in this movie? Now, yes, the movie is really about that, and so there's not a lot of action. Actually, I had one of my kids watch this movie, one of the younger ones, and I think he wasn't too happy with it because he looks for action, and there's just limited action between about the 10-minute mark and the 1 hour and 20-minute mark. You don't see Diana appear as Wonder Woman and do anything. She is just Diana in that stretch. So for a good hour and 10 minutes, half the movie, you don't see Wonder Woman in action, saving people, doing anything of consequence with their rope or her plane or whatever. So if action is your thing, you're going to have to wait a pretty long time in this movie to get it. And the movie, by the end of the movie, is very moralistic. Without giving anything away, you do get characters looking into the camera and talking to the audience and telling them what they should want or not want in their lives. It's a very interesting and yet sometimes off-putting move that this movie makes. And so, yes, I think in one sense, this is about the personal struggles of a woman who can't get over the man she lost. In the other domain, it's also about the political struggles of a god emperor figure who can grant any wish to anybody, but he might end up destroying civilization itself. So he needs, like Wonder Woman, to renounce his very desire, his innermost desire, and get back to the basics of life, as it were. But as I said, this is an 80s nostalgia movie. It's going to go over 80s fashion and 80s technology and oogle and awe over it. So in one sense, you got this 1984 in the title. It's George Orwellian-like, with a possible takeover by a big brother kind of figure who can grant any wish. At the same time, it's 1984 in the sense of modern movies. Ooh, look, it's 1980s nostalgia. That's a very strange mix, and I'm not sure it works at all. In fact, those messages seem to be contradictory to me. Maybe they're not to you, but there's not a lot in this movie that you can grasp hold of as far as good philosophical discourse, which is usually what I'm looking for. As a comic book movie, it's probably okay for most people, but by the contrast principle, they're going to weigh Wonder Woman, the original, versus the sequel. And this is one of those times, unfortunately, I think, where the sequel is just not as good overall. So for all those reasons, this is probably 2 to 2.5 stars, average to slightly below average. I was semi-entertained in parts because, the 80s nostalgia plays to my age, but really, my brain, it feels like mush by the end of the movie, and it makes all the moves that comic book superhero movies do. In fact, there's overt quotations to the original Superman from the 1970s in this movie in several parts. So for all those reasons, I think it's average to below average. I would not go out and subscribe to HBO yet as a streaming service just to watch this. I suppose if you must, get a free trial, but wait a little while because Warner Brothers is going to release in 2021 its whole, catalog of movies that's going to release in theaters on HBO Max. What did you think of this review? What did you think of Wonder Woman 1984? I'd love to hear from you, what you think about what I said, as well as your take on it. So let us know in the comments. And thank you so much. Please subscribe to this channel for more great content, philosophical discourses about movies. It's so much fun to talk about what movies are really about. So subscribe. Thank you. Have a great day.